Hello everyone and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I'm your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show where my goal is to help you spend your wine dollars wisely. How do I do that? I taste the wines, I review them, and then it's up to you. I review, it's up to you. Remember, it's your palate. Like I've been doing for a little bit, and it's funny that I'm doing this program today, because today I was at the store working. I'm on my lunch break right now, but I was working at the store and this gentleman came up and I had this big pile of wine. I was putting together special orders for my tasting event I did with David O'Reilly, and he said, and this is my point that I've been making on the show, is he said, you know, most people when they buy wine back in the day, and he was an older gentleman, he said, you know, we were on limited budgets, we bought what we could afford, but come Christmas time, you know, all the corks came off. We didn't care. And that's really true for a lot of people. I know it's true for me. Christmas and New Year's, I bust open some pretty nice bottles of wine and champagne, because, you know, that's the time of year to do it, especially when you're cooking up a Christmas ham or a prime rib. You know, you want a better quality wine. That's the way it is. So, last episode, I did some, I believe it was Riojas. I know it was Riojas, which are nice pairings for prime rib. I mean, even one of them, I believe, was light enough to go with ham. Well, today we're going to do some big bad boys. One from Walla Walla and one from Woodinville, Washington. If you're watching from the East Coast, I'm sorry, probably not available to you, but for you homies on the West Coast here, you probably can get your hands on some of these wines. They're not cheap, but they're good quality wines. I believe will go with the prime rib meal at Christmas time. So let's get started right off. This is the Savaya Cellars Cabernet Franc, Walla Walla Valley, 2009, and this rolls in at $29. I love Cab Franc. It's one of my favorite varietals. And if you have not tried Cabernet Franc in the past, you kind of have to be careful, especially for newbies, because Cab Franc can get a little bit vegetal. I prefer to have the ones that don't show too much of that. And one thing I'm going to work on in this program, and I know, you know, as viewership goes up, which I'm confident it will go up, I believe my viewers, my fans will spread the word, and I'll get more viewers in 2015. I've been trying to work with YouTube a little bit on getting some things like a subscribe button. It's not as easy as they make it look on the tutorials. Anyway, what I want to do is a little bit more education. Cabernet Franc is the parent to Cabernet Sauvignon. In other words, they took Cab Franc and Sauvignon Blanc, they crossbred them together, and they came out with Cabernet Sauvignon. For those of you who didn't know that, that's a little fun fact about Cab Franc. Cab Franc in the Loire Valley is referred to as Chinon. And so if you see something that says Chinon, it is Cabernet Franc. However, if you're not into tossed salad in your wine or green bell peppers or those things, you might want to avoid Chinon. There are times I really like Chinon, there's times I can't stand it. It's just your palate at the time. But it doesn't hurt to try it at some point in your career as a wine drinker. Try Chinon, it is Cab Franc. Cab Franc out of Washington State tends to be very good. They put a little bit of oak on it. It tends to lose the vegetal characters, and it gains more of the darker fruit side of Cab Franc. The beauty of Cab Franc is it never goes fruit forward. It does have fruit on it, but it doesn't go fruit bomb. So for those of you that like a little drier style red, which you would want with a prime rib, you would look for Cab Franc. Now this is a $30 Cab Franc, which, you know, one of my favorite Cab Francs is Rosa Mystica from Owen Rowe. That rolls in at $30, so about the same price. I find it very worth it. I have not tried the Savaya Cellars Cab Franc, so this is my first time. I'm very excited. Let's see what we get on the nose. It's corked. Well, that solves that. a corked Cab Franc. Wow, this is going to be a short program. I might dive into one of these guys I have over on the other side. That's corked for sure. Kind of sad about that. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Unedited, boys. That's the way it is. Sometimes that happens. And by the way, if you're ever in a situation where you have an opportunity to taste a corked wine, do it, or smell one. I know this last tasting event I did, we ran across a corked Chardonnay, and we saved it, let people smell it. It was really corked. Savaya's pretty corked, absolutely. I'm bummed because I really want to try it. Matthew, I want to try the Savaya Cellars Savaya Walla Walla Cab Franc. Now we're going to get into what they call a cult winery. Cult meaning, for those of you who don't know, not a huge amount of people know about it, but the people that do clamor for it. It gets some good scores from Spectator and from other publications. Baer Winery Ursa, 2011. There you go. They're out of Woodinville, Washington. Kind of an interesting story. In 2000, I believe, Lance Baer started Baer Winery. He had worked for other wineries. And, this rolls in at 40 US dollars. And, by the way, before I finish the story about Baer Winery, this is 43% Cabernet Franc, 43% Merlot, 8% Malbec, and 6% Cab Franc. Kudos to Baer Winery for putting the blend on the back. I love you for that. You know how I feel about that. We all want to know what's in the wine. So anyway, Lance started in 2000. He died, I believe, in 2000. Did he die in 2009 or 7? He was only 39 years old. Tragic. It's way too young. But he crafted some excellent wines. Ursa was his first release, I believe, in 2003, around there. I'm not sure if I'm getting all this right, but it's pretty close. Pretty close. And he passed away. His family took over, and they're trying to carry the torch for Baer Winery, and they're still getting good accolades from the press and so forth. Let's see what we get on the nose. I put that other glass away. Now this definitely has a Cab Franc on the nose. I get that green, kind of green bell pepper, lettuce. Get a little tobacco notes, almost like a green tobacco. It's slightly closed on the nose. I get a little dust element coming through. Yeah, now I'm getting some perfume currents, like you just dabbed a little perfume in your currants. A little bit of licorice. Interesting nose. This has been open for a while, and I just want to talk for a moment about that. When you're doing big wines, I would encourage you to decant them. It's very important to get the best out of the wine. I know it takes a little bit of effort. You don't have to have anything fancy to decant your wines. Really, all you need is a pitcher, water pitcher, whatever. Just splash it in there. You could even pour it back in the bottle if you want after you've aerated it for a little bit for the dinner table, if you feel that's more appropriate for you. But anyway, if I know a lot of people don't decant. It's just something that you should think about. Like I said, you don't need anything fancy. In fact, you can pour part of the bottle into your glass, put the cork back in, shake it up. Just give it a really hard shake for about a minute, and then pour the glass back in the bottle, and that will help aerate it. It just, for your own drinking experience, it's just a good idea to do. Nothing, like I said, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It just helps expand that wine. Let's see what we get on the palate. I love this wine. I've always liked the Baer Ursa. They do an excellent job. Very consistent. Nice fruit. You get currants and blackberries and boysenberries are all there. Then there's a nice spiciness that comes through right on the mid palate into the finish, like white pepper and cracked black pepper. It's all there. Good flow, seamless flow across the palate, really. And it's very delicious. You get just a hint of asparagus, but nothing really outrageous. Nothing outrageous. I think most of you can handle it. Now, when you swallow it on the back end, that spice, a little bit of asparagus, just loads of good, delicious fruit. Currants, blackberries, boysenberries, they're all there. Maybe just a touch of cherry, dark cherry. I even get a little black raspberry on the very back end. You talk about a great wine to have with prime rib, or just to have on your Christmas dinner table. This is a beauty. A lot of you will like it. I know it's 40 bucks, but if you're ready to spring for a good bottle of wine at Christmas time, Baer Winery Ursa would do the trick. You know, I really do have to go A on this wine. It's just fantastic. There's no flaws, seamless flow on the palate. The tannins are structured, but they're smooth and easy. This will age beautifully for the next 5 to 8 years. It has a good acid on it, but that acid is held in check. It's a well-built wine. Good job, guys. A on that. I've been working lately on my top 40 wines under $20 for 2015. I should have that published on my blog, which I will put a link down below, stanthewineman.com. You might want to check that out this coming weekend. It's a great list. It's a labor of love. I mean, I just love doing it, but it's very hard work because I have to go through all my notes from the past year and come up with those top wines under $20. Thanks for watching, and remember, wine is not a mystery. It's not complicated. It's just grape juice, fermented grape juice. So drink it and enjoy it. Learn your palate. Trust your palate. Don't let anybody tell you what you should like. And together, we can take the snob out of wine.